So as a business leader, why would I care about ecosystems?
To build the resilience and to tap into the diversity that fuels innovation and growth and creativity, one needs to look beyond one's four walls. But there is no company on the planet now that has that level of resources, partly because, by definition, there's always someone smarter working on the problem in a different way outside your four walls, right? And so the smart companies are waking up to that fact and building, as you say, ecosystems to tap into that diversity. And how, as a leader, do you bring these different perspectives into your organization, into your teams, into your decision-making process? You can create the conditions for innovation, and those conditions really are characterized by diversity, because a lot of these innovations happen at the intersections of different disciplines, at the intersections of different technologies or different cultures or different products. And so the diversity within these different disciplines that comes when you have a scientist. A great example, Elon Musk's SpaceX factory, he's taken, in the past, the industry had they had their research and development on one side of the country, and then they had the machinists on the other side of the country. Literally separated by 5,000 miles. What he's done is put them all together. So you have a machinist, you have a software engineer, you have an MBA, freshly minted MBA graduate, all working together. And in that space, that's where the magic happens. That's where the innovation happens.
I came across the term intersectional hunting in one of your previous podcast episodes. Could you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, so this comes from a wonderful book called The Medici Effect by Franz Johansson. And Franz has got a very diverse background. In terms of his where he's been brought up and his parents and his different cultures that he's lived in. But the Medici Effect is really a reflection on the fact that the Medicis in my histories, I think it's the 15th century or 16th century Italy, that they were very good at pulling together lots of different types of talent from very different backgrounds to spur innovation and to spur the tremendous growth that part of Italy enjoyed in that part of history. And Franz's insight was, okay, these are intersections of artists and scientists and sculptors and painters. What does that look like today? And the insight is by putting together, as I mentioned with Elon Musk, by putting together people from different backgrounds, or indeed exposing yourself to different industries, different disciplines, you're able, at the intersection between these disciplines, that's where the magic happens. That's where the growth, that's where the creativity happens.
Where does ecosystem thinking then come in with all of these ideas?
Innovation's an overused word, and so is ecosystem. The robust ecosystems in the physical world are very resilient. They are characterized by enormous diversity, and they're able, therefore, to withstand shocks from the outside, a new predator entering. And it's the same in the world of and they're also they're it's a food chain. You've got it's eat or be eaten. It's evolve or die, and that's a nice model for the world of business as well, where you have a diverse ecosystem of competitors, and your job as a company is not to is to adapt as much as possible to the surrounding environment, because absent that, and it's very true today, obviously, or never been more true, the Darwinian forces will take over and you'll be out of business very quickly.
Are ecosystems a way of creating that environment for diversity? Are ecosystems an environment of diversity?
Yeah, well, they can be, yes. So, another of my guests, is an amazing guy called Brad Feld, who was a founder of Techstars. And Techstars is an organization that was built to put together large companies with startups. and enables a big company to tap into this ecosystem or this community of startups, and for startups to collaborate effectively with large companies. Now, he also talks about ecosystems of the infrastructure provided by different governments, and the hardware infrastructure as well. So the whole concept of the ecosystem that he, as an investor, he's a venture capitalist, is able to tap into and to help shape with a view to increasing the positive outcomes both for the corporation and for the startup. I mean, the big insight for large companies is that they don't have, they used to have everything that they felt they needed to compete and to evolve in their four walls. But there's no company on the planet now that has that level of resources, partly because, by definition, there's always someone smarter working on the problem in a different way outside your four walls, right? And so the smart companies are waking up to that fact and building, as you say, ecosystems to tap into that diversity.
So would you say that ecosystems are the antithesis to vertical integration?
Well, I guess it depends. I mean, yeah, I'm not sure I'd use that language, but I think they are, when I think of vertical integration, I think of things that are hardwired. I think of silos. I think of processes, and none of those things. Well, some of them are helpful in the world of innovation, but many of them get in the way. I mean, silos block and hinder agility. Fact, right? Processes that are hardwired are often they work up until they stop working, and suddenly when the past no longer equals the future, you have to rewire everything. So I think I think the way you put it is probably right, because I think the ecosystem the concept is a more amorphous, but of course at an intellectual level, but the practical reality is that these are living organisms as well, that are evolving in real time.
And so as a business leader, why would I care about ecosystems operating within one, even wanting to create one?
Assuming this business leader has an agenda of evolving and growing, or even evolving to stand still, the failure to do that is adapt or die, right? So failure to do that. So this is Darwinian. Assuming this business leader is faced with Darwinian forces, then they should, I think, be aware of the fact they should recognize, A, they don't have all the resources that they need within their ecosystem, within their four walls of their organization, their organizational ecosystem, and B, that they probably don't have the cognitive diversity with which to address some of the problems that are coming down their pike. And I think there are very few industries today, this was even pre-COVID, but certainly COVID has accelerated it, that are immune to these Darwinian forces. Therefore, to build the resilience and to tap into the diversity that fuels innovation and growth and creativity, one needs to look beyond one's four walls. I think that's the case for it.
Brilliant. That's fantastic. Thank you so much.